Hello everybody, welcome to Mike's Country Vinyl. This is my first YouTube video, so be patient with me. This is the first one I've done, so we're going to try to inform you about some of the country music that I have in my vinyl collection. I grew up, to give you a little background, I grew up in Bakersfield, California, which we know is a hotbed of country music, but while I was growing up, we was only allowed to listen to country music. My dad had one rule in the house. There was two types of music that you could listen to, country or Western. So I really didn't get exposed to other music until I got out of the household and then sort of opened up the world of music. But what I wanted to do, I know there's a lot of people that have videos on YouTube that they talk about their vinyl collection, country vinyl collection and everything. So I thought I'd give you a different perspective of someone who's actually been in the business. I've done concert promotion. I've had retail stores and had actually my own recording studio, a small one. But country music has always been my first love. I love other types of music, but country music has always been my first love. So anyway, I wanted to go over some of my collection today, give you a little bit of insight on the different albums that I have. And I will tell you that my YouTube will probably involve mainly traditional country music. I will do some, maybe a video on country rock and maybe a video on some of the jazz that I listen to, and maybe a video on some of the music that I listened to back in the 70s and 80s, but we'll give you a pretty good rundown. But anyway, the first album I'm going to bring up to you is one by Bill Anderson. See if you can see that. I don't know why this man is not in the Country Music Hall of Fame. He's not the best singer, and he'll tell you he's not the best singer. He is in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. He has written so many great songs. He really has. He's written, he's written songs for Kenny Chesney, just a number of people. Connie Smith recorded a bunch of his stuff, but Ray Price recorded a song called City Lights that Bill Anderson wrote. Actually, Bill tells the story of how it got to Ray Price. Bill wrote it in Commerce, Georgia. He was on top of a hotel, just sitting there looking out at the lights of the city, and he came up with this idea for the song City Lights. Initially, the song was recorded by a guy by the name of Dave Rich, and anyway, he recorded it first, and it was on a small label. I shouldn't say small label. He may have been on RCA Victor. But it wasn't getting anywhere. So anyway, one day, Ray Price and Ernest Tubb, who at the time were both avid golfers, this is in the late 50s, they were driving to the golf course, had the radio turned on, and this song, City Lights, come on, that Dave Rich was singing, and Ernest Tubb looked at Ray Price and said, "You need to record that song. It's a hit." Well, as we know, Ray Price did record it, and it became a huge hit, and Bill Anderson is very thankful for that. Matter of fact, on this album here, it's Bill Anderson sings country heart songs, and it has a lot of good songs. It has City Lights, has an album called Po Folks, actually a song called Po Folks, and Mama Sing a Song, which is a good one. Walk Out Backwards, which is one of my favorite songs that he did, and I think Rick Trevino did that too. So there's a lot of good songs. Tip of My Fingers. So you don't realize how many songs this man has recorded, how many hits he's had. And I really think CMA needs to consider this man for the Country Music Hall of Fame. Great, great album. So if you run across it, and what's neat about, what I like about, I'm a record collector, yes, but I collect mainly country. But what I like about country music is the fact that country music is still fairly inexpensive to collect. I mean, you can find most of these albums for $3, $4, $5. Now, if you get into the older Waylon or Johnny Cash, or even like one of the first Gary Stewart albums, it'll cost you some money. But anyway, this is a great album. And there again, I don't understand why he's not in the Country Music Hall of Fame. And another album I picked up for $1. Matter of fact, the price tag is still on it. You can see it right there. Is his band. And the name of his band was called the Po' Boys. The Po' Boys. And it's called Pick Again. And it just so happens I picked this up. And it's a radio station copy. So it's a copy. It's a white label promo. You can see that right there. And it still has KIEV, Glendale, California. So it comes from that radio station. But anyway, he had some pretty accomplished people here that was in it. I mean, he had Jimmy Gately was on there, and then Snuffy, gosh, I can't remember his last name now, was his drummer, and really good drummer. But anyway, good album to get. And like I said, country music is really, really inexpensive to collect. I mean, you can, for a few $100, you can come up with quite a few albums. Another group that I really like here is a group called Area Code 615. And these guys, they were sort of like the A-Team in Nashville. I've got, here's one here, Area Code 615, and there's another one, A Trip in the Country, right there. But anyway, these guys were amazing. I mean, we're talking about Weldon Myrick on pedal steel. Buddy Spiker played fiddle on this. Wayne Moss, Kenneth Buttrey. I mean, just an amazing amount of people. Norbert Putnam, which a lot of people don't realize he produced some of Jimmy Buffett's first albums. David Briggs, Weldon Myrick, Matt Gaden, of course we said Buddy Spiker, and then Charlie McCoy and Bobby Thompson. I mean, so everybody's heard of Charlie McCoy. Two great albums. These albums you can get pretty much, most stores are selling, you can get them $7 or $8. Get lucky and find them in a thrift store for maybe a few bucks. This album right here is Jim Edward Maxine and Bonnie Brown, better known as the Browns. And I picked this album up mainly, I grew up in Bakersfield, California. And the reason I picked this up, it's not that I'm a big fan of the Browns, but it has a sticker of one of the stores I used to go to growing up in Bakersfield, Booth's department store. I had a great record department there. I used to go there with my dad and listen to records. But what's neat about it, it's also, if you look on the back of that, KUZZ. It's a radio station in Bakersfield. It was actually one of their station copies. But another good album, very good vocals. Looking Back to See is on the back of this. Doesn't have their big hit, The Three Bells, but this album does. Right here. The Browns, Greatest Hits. A lot of good songs. I mean, it's crazy that didn't realize they had so many hits. The Three Bells, The Old Lamplighter. Love their songs. Love their songs. Good. And of course, Ed Brown eventually branched off and became a very accomplished solo singer. And he also did some songs, had some hit songs with a lady by the name of Helen Cornelius. Here's another guy. Maybe I should do a video on all the people that should be in the Country Music Hall of Fame. This man should be in the Country Music Hall of Fame. Bobby Bare. There again, the guy, Streets of Baltimore, I love that. This was produced by Chet Atkins. He did the Early Morning Rain on here. Of course, I think Early Morning Rain was a song that come out, and Gordon Lightfoot did that. But good songs on here, a lot of covers, but the Streets of Baltimore I love. Great song. I can't remember, the Streets of Baltimore, was it? Take a look at it here. Streets of Baltimore was written by Tom Paul Glazier and Harlan Howard, it looks like. Oh, didn't know that. Here's another one. Margie's at the Lincoln Park Inn. I love this song. I love it. Ray Price did a great version of this song on one of his albums that he did back in the late 60s when he had actually went up to New York and did some recording sessions. But Margie's at the Lincoln Park Inn, which is a big hit. And of course, like most people back in the 60s, they did a lot of covers. Ruby Don't Take Your Love to Town, Son of Hickory Holler's Tramp. Let's see, what else? Skip a Rope. So there again, and this right here happens to be a German import. So, yeah, it's in good shape too. But anyway, there again, a lot of this stuff I pick up for cheap. But like I said, there are some albums that are, you get into Billy Joe Shaver, some of that stuff, you know, it can be fairly expensive. Now here's a group that's near and dear to my heart. I love these guys. In my opinion, just my opinion, you know, I'm not one to go in to say, hey, this guy is the greatest country singer ever, or these are the greatest songs ever. I don't believe in that. It's all, you know, how can you say this guy is the greatest country singer ever, or this is the best band ever? It's your opinion, and this is my opinion. Okay, what I'm getting ready to tell you here. Desert Rose Band. I happened to be fortunate enough. I used to do booking, and I actually booked Chris Hillman and Herb Peterson for a concert when I lived over in Ridgecrest, California. But anyway, they both signed this album for me. And I got another album, Pages of Life, which is another great album. These guys, in my opinion, there was nobody better as far as a country band. Now, I happen to be friends with Marty Stewart, and Marty Stewart and the Fabulous Superlatives, there's nobody better than them. You know, so in my opinion, Marty Stewart and the Fabulous Superlatives, and I'll do something on them, Desert Rose Band, best country bands, in my opinion, ever. Desert Rose Band, Chris Hillman, of course, who Chris used to be with the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers, Souther Hillman for Ray Band, Stephen Stills Manassas. But Chris Hillman, Herb Peterson, one of the best harmony vocalists ever. I mean, he did harmony vocals for Linda Ronstadt, Emmylou Harris. If you ever hear Emmylou Harris's version of If I Could Only Win Your Love, that's Herb Peterson in the back doing the harmony vocal. John Jorgensen, one of the most talented guitar players I've ever seen. Bill Bryson, unfortunately, he's passed away. Excellent bass player, and a guy that I'm Facebook friends with, Steve Duncan, was the drummer. I got to know Steve Duncan's work when he was playing drums for Rick Nelson's Stone Canyon Band. And of course, one of the greatest pedal steel guitar players of all time, Mr. J.D. Maness. So, great album here. Haven't even opened this up, but I do have the CD. And there again, you can see I bought this brand new sealed for $5.99. So, like I said, country music is really really pretty inexpensive to collect. So a lot of people nowadays, you know, with the prices of records going up, really good, truthfully good used vinyl is getting harder and harder to find. But it's out there. Here's a guy that I grew up listening to. Matter of fact, we had some 78s of his that would play on the record player every now and then. Is Little Jimmy Dickens, right there. Take an old cold tater and wait. Matter of fact, his nickname was Tater. And I think Little Jimmy Dickens, if he was 5'1", that would be stretching it. But very well loved. He, you know, this is his greatest hits. This actually is a reissue. Something to keep in mind is Columbia reissued a lot of stuff on their Harmony label, and that's what this one is here. Actually, this is not on Harmony, but it's on limited. So they call it a re-release by popular demand, limited edition. But they released a lot of stuff on Harmony. Warehouse sold this for $1.97, brand new. But I think I got it. I can't remember what it says $5, but I know I paid less than that. But anyway, cold tater. Take an old cold tater and wait. May the bird of paradise fly up your nose. That's the two. Sleeping at the foot of the bed, out behind the barn. Night Train to Memphis, which is a hit for Roy Acuff. Here's another This is actually an original. This is, I think, a 6i, I believe. Yeah, 6i, right there. 6i Columbia. Anyway, this is, I'll show it to you here, called Raising the Dickens. And if you see that name right there, Tommy D, this is out of his collection. I actually bought a big collection from a gentleman that used to work had passed on, and I bought it from his wife, a gentleman who used to work at KUZZ in Bakersfield, the radio station. And anyway, this particular one here was in the collection of Tommy D. Now, Tommy D was a local musician that was around Bakersfield, but he also come out with a song, and usually I'm pretty good about remembering this stuff, but I think it was called The Three Stars. I can't remember, but it was about Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper dying in a plane crash. But anyway, this come out of his collection. I got a few albums that I bought that actually come out of people's collection. Now, if you are familiar with Southern California country music back in the day, Southern California, not only Bakersfield, but Southern California used to be a hotbed for country music. They used to have the Melody Ranch show and a lot of different shows on there, that they had that was hosted. You had a guy. There used to be excuse me here. There used to be a TV program called it was Route. Can't remember exactly what it was, but it was hosted by Rod Cameron, and I'll think of it here in a little bit. But anyway, Star Route USA was the name of the program. It was originally filmed up in Canada, but they brought it back down to LA, and they were filming there. But anyway, there was a guy that was the leader of the band at the Palomino Club, and anyway, his name was Gene Davis. But he was the leader of they called his group, when they were on Star Route USA, the Star Routers. And this is a guy right here, Gene Davis. And there again, it's sealed. I haven't even opened it up yet. I do have a CD. Better show this a little bit closer. I do have a CD. But listen to the people that are on this album. Musicians. First of all, it's produced by James Burton. Okay, James Burton, we all know, Elvis Presley's band leader, our music director. Then James Burton also was the lead guitar player for Ricky Nelson. But anyway, James Burton, Jimmy Capps, Thumbs Carlisle, and Jimmy Snyder had, who was a guy that had a hit called I believe the L.A. Story, I believe is what it was. But anyway, then you have all these guys: Buddy Harmon, Mel Taylor. Mel Taylor used to be with the Ventures. Bobby Dyson on bass. Glenn D. Harden, Hargus Pig Robbins on keyboards. Buddy Spiker and Johnny Gimbel on fiddle, and then on pedal steel. It says Weldon Music, but we know that's Weldon Myrick. And then Red Road. So a lot of great musicians here. A lot of great music. Actually, that Jimmy Snyder was the Chicago Story, not the LA Story. So anyway, good album. There again, I bought it fairly inexpensive. Another one that I have here. There's a story behind this. Right there. Wayland Time, sung by Rusty Dean, and these are all basically remakes, covers. You got Chokin' Kind, Sweet Mental Revenge, Only Daddy That'll Walk the Line, Time to Bum Again. There was one here called When a Fool Loves a Fool that was on Garpax. If you're very familiar with what Garpax is, I don't know if you're familiar with a group. There were a imaginary group called the Hollywood Argyles that did a Dallas Frazier song called Alley Oop. first hit that he had as a songwriter. Well, Garpax is Gary Paxton. So when you find one of these, Rusty Dean is Gary Paxton. But the backstory behind this is that Gary Paxton moved up from LA to Bakersfield, and he rented out this building on the corner of Chester Avenue in Bakersfield. Actually, Oildale is where it's at. It's down the street from Buck Owens' recording studio. And he basically came into Bakersfield and said, I'm going to run Buck Owens out of business. Well, needless to say, he didn't. But anyway, he comes in, and what's really unique about these albums, he'd record them, and he would basically lease the masters to Alshire, which is a budget record label. Most of these sold probably for $1.99 at thrifty drugstores or Newberry's or wherever. But the neat thing about this is he had a lot of people playing on these sessions, well-known people. Clarence White played on these sessions. Gib Gilboa played on these sessions. Trying to think who else. I don't know if Vern Gosdin played on it. I know Dennis Payne probably played on some of these sessions, and Dennis Payne was a well-known musician. Actually, he wrote Highway Patrol for Red Simpson. So all this stuff, when you see this stuff, is come out of Gary Paxton's studio, and that bank building is still standing there in Oildale. It's a suburb of Bakersfield. It is. So anyway, when you see this is Gary Paxton. Probably has Clarence White playing on it. Probably has maybe Gib Gilboa playing on it. Who knows? It's hard to say. But anyway, well worthwhile. Not bad. It's actually a pretty decent album. Okay, this one right here. There again, this is only, I don't have near the vinyl records I used to have. I've bought and sold so many collections, but I have right now, if you count everything I have, I probably have, 1,200-1,300. And then you see off to the right here, bring this over there, right there. That's part of my CD collection, and I got a bigger collection there. So I probably have another 500-600 CDs. Anyway, here's Phil Ball. And Vern Stovall. Vern Stovall actually wrote a song called The Long Black Limousine. And that was recorded by a number of people. Win Stewart recorded it. But anyway, this song right here, Country Guitar, was actually a hit for Phil Ball. It was an instrumental, but did have some vocals in it. And in this album right here, I haven't even opened it yet. And the reason I haven't opened it yet, it has some damage. It has some water damage. I actually bought this at an estate sale. And I went to the estate sale of singer-songwriter Billy Mize, who has been a fixture around Bakersfield for a number of years. Billy toured with Merle Haggard for a while. An absolute fantastic talent. He hosted Melody Ranch. He was on Town Hall Party. A lot of stuff down in LA, so he's driving back and forth. But he wrote songs for Johnny Cash. He wrote songs for Charlie Walker, a song called Who'll Buy the Wine. Dean Martin recorded like 3 of his songs. But Billy never made it huge, and he wanted to stay, he didn't want to go on the road, and he didn't want to travel. But anyway, this comes from his collection. This is Phil Ball. And like I said, it's sealed, but it does have some damage, and there's a little bit of mold there too. But it should play fine. I just haven't opened it up. But it's on Longhorn Records, Distributed by the Club of Spade. Now, I don't know if he's tied into Spade. Well, it would be Spade Cooley, because Spade Cooley would be at this time, be in incarceration. Studio City. So anyway, decent album there again. It's got a little sentimental value to me because I did buy it at Billy Mize's estate sale. And the last one I'm going to show you is someone that I really like a lot. Anybody that knows me that I'm a huge Ray Price fan, and I'll do a video on that. But this guy was part of Ray Price's Cherokee Cowboys. This album, a lot of you people don't realize that. A lot of people think that Willie Nelson wrote the song Whiskey River. It wasn't him. This man right here, Johnny Bush, a Texas icon, he's the one that wrote Whiskey River. So if you see Whiskey River and it says John Bush Shin, that's Johnny Bush right there. This is a great album too. This is on RCA Records. There again, it's sealed. I bought the album for $4.99. Produced by Ray Pennington, who unfortunately last year died in a house fire. But there again, Johnny Bush, loved Ray Price's music. Matter of fact, I have Johnny Bush's biography and autobiography, and I will do a review on some autobiographies that I have. But this is the Texas Dance Hall Girl. He did My Shoes Keep Walking Back to You, which was a hit for Ray Price. But here again, Jordanaires sang on this one. Just a great album. So if you run across this, there again, another one. Come out in 1973. Paid $4.99 for a sealed copy of that album. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. I'll be try to do a video, once a week, something like that. But I'm just trying to give you some insight on country music. I know I'm not a big fan of today's country. There are some good artists out there, but I'm just not a fan of what they play on radio. I really miss country radio as it used to be. I grew up like I said, in Bakersfield. We had KUZZ, we had KPMC, which is 1560. It's KNZR now, that played country music at night. We could get stations from Fresno, Hanford. There was a station from Delano at night that played KCHJ, played older music. But that's just what, like I said, what I grew up on. And I just wanted to give you some insight on someone who's been listening to country music for a long time. I will get into some of the newer stuff. Now, there's some people out there that have put out some pretty good music. But like I said, as a whole, I don't listen to modern country music, the stuff that's out there now. Now, we're lucky here. I live on the central coast of California, that we have a radio station in Lompoc that plays a lot of the honky-tonk stuff, a lot of Texas music. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll try to do one of these once a week. And please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share it, because we want to get this music out there and let people know that, hey, of all the opportunities of buying really good country music, but not having to spend a whole lot of money. So anyway, hey, God bless you. We'll see you next time.